Okay, YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Raptor conversion on a 2004 F-150 FX4. I've been looking a lot online. I can't really find too much information about it, but finally was able to source together a bunch of information, and I'm going to put it all in this video. This works for, I think, any 2004 to 2008 F-150. There's slight modifications you have to do to the lower control arms, tie rods, and I think that's it. Oh, and if you're using your stock spindles, there's some trimming you have to do on the spindles. I'll be using my stock spindles, so I will show you guys that. So you got your lower control arms from a 2010 to 2014 F-150 Raptor. I got shocks and upper control arms and tie rods. Okay, so one of the first things you have to do for the 04 to 08, I'm actually not sure if you need to do it on the 09 to 14, I don't think you do, but you have to trim this bushing, just one side on each of the control arms. You can see that black 1-inch space there. This side doesn't really have it, but this back one, or I think it's the back one, maybe it's the front one, you gotta just trim it off. I've just done that with this other one, so I'll show you guys that right now. It's about a 1/4 inch, a little bit more than a 1/4 of an inch. Basically, you're just taking off that silver piece and a little bit of the black, just to make it a little bit shorter so it'll fit on yours. Another option is to actually have these cut off and widen them. That's if you don't want to cut your control arms that you just got. Yeah, so I just did that. I'm going to do the other one, then we'll go ahead and cut the tie rods. I'll show you where to cut those, and later on I'll show you where to trim on the spindles if you're keeping your stock spindles. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I just removed the spindles from my lower control arms. Not going to use those. So for the tie rods on the 2004 to 2008, I'm not sure if this applies to the 09s and above, but you won't use the Raptor inner tie rods. They won't fit. These don't screw into the 2004 to 2008s. You will need the outers, or you can get, like, you know, your own ream or hem setup, or I think it's hem for the tie rods, but I'm going to use the Raptor ones. What you actually want to do is you'll cut about 1 inch off. A good indication of these little squares here, just right before the square is where you're going to make a cut. And then on the stock inner tie rods on the truck, you'll cut the inner tie rods about 1 inch. The one tie rod, and see where I cut it, right along the top of that square. So I'll go ahead and do the other one right now, just so you have an idea. Also, note the grinding wheel with the cutoff wheel, cutting wheel. I tried using the Sawzall. No go. Don't use a Sawzall. It sucks. Doesn't work. It took forever. Barely got halfway through, especially on the bearings. I think the tie rods would be the same story. I went through about 3 blades and got a 1/4 of the way through that thing, so went and got a wheel. Had this thing for forever, you can see. But yeah, make sure you wear safety glasses and try to get it so all the sparks are flying away from your face. Alright, so I got the wheel off. Went ahead and start taking apart I'll start with the tie rods. We'll start taking everything off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So once I have most of this taken apart, I'll go ahead and bring the video back up, show you guys the placement of the new stuff. I'm actually not going to retain my 4-wheel drive. You can get extended axles made. Camberg Off-Road actually make them for this swap. I just can't afford them. I think they're like 550 bucks. I'm gonna eventually get them, but for right now I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the whole CV axle and just run 2-wheel drive, which after lots of research I found out you can do. You can run our trucks without the CV axles in them. You won't leak diff fluid, and your wheel hubs won't fall apart because you actually have these 4 bolts back here holding the hub, or like the ball joint and all this stuff's in. The axle does not hold it in, even though some people say it does, but it does not. So a couple hours later, maybe more like 4, we finally have everything off. We got the CV axle off, we got the upper control arms, lower control arms, brakes, hub, all that sitting right there. So on the tie rod, we'll use the Raptor outers that we trimmed off earlier, and we'll actually use the stock inners and trim about 1 inch off of the inners. If you go a little bit more, I don't think it's that big of an issue, but yeah, you want about 1 inch. So we'll be trimming it right about, I don't know, right about there, give or take. So I'll go ahead and do that now. I didn't really show the teardown just because you can usually find that information online. I think Full Droop TV has a video of them doing a long travel kit on these trucks, and they show the complete teardown and how to do it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, and once it's cut, I'll go ahead and start installing everything, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so I got it cut, got the new tie rod on there, screwed right in, just like it should, and we'll go ahead and start reassembling. Now that I have all that done, I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes up here for the new shocks. They don't really line up. So after talking to another guy about this, he said that if you had a spring compressor, you could compress the spring and turn the hat on the top of the shock to line the screws up. I don't have a spring compressor. I don't really feel like going and getting one, so drilling the holes only took maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes to mark it up and then 10 minutes to drill the holes. So let's go ahead and do that instead of going to AutoZone and renting a compressor and coming back here doing that and all that bullshit. So go ahead and take care of that, and then I'll start putting it back together. I'll kind of take videos in between putting everything back together also. One of the things I did notice on the other side is you have to put the upper control arm on before you stick the spring back in. The bolts won't, well, you won't be able to get to them when they're back here and the spring's right here in the way, and it's just a pain in the butt. So I had to learn that the hard way. So I drilled my holes for my shock, got that thing all lined up, nice and sitting pretty. Got it all squared away, got my upper control arm in first before the shock, otherwise you can't get to those nuts on the inside right in there. Those ones right there. Gotta go ahead and start tightening up some stuff and put on my spindle, and then yeah, then tie rod and brakes and hub. I got my 4-wheel drive hub. You're able to run them in 2-wheel drive without the CV axle hooked up over here. I think I'm going to take some sheet metal and maybe like a caulking gun or some metal tape from, I work in HVAC and we have this super sticky metal tape that sticks to fucking anything. Cover up the backside just to make sure no debris and shit gets in there until I can get my axles made and installed. But yeah, looking pretty good. I think getting the axles in there next time, once I need to do that, it'll be super easy. I'll just disconnect the upper control arm, and I might be able to do it that way. If not, I'll drop the shock, but I think just disconnecting the upper control arm to move the spindle out, and oh, I guess the tie rod also, just to kind of, so the spindle can kind of lean out to get that shit in there. But yeah, I think it'll be easy.